BLUMHOUSE is back at it again in 2024. They kicked off the year in January with Night Swim, and now we have a follow-up, Imaginary, directed by Jeff Wadlow, who is also the director of Kick-Ass 2, Truthful Dare, and Fantasy Island, and this is his third collaboration with BLUMHOUSE. And I've seen Imaginary twice now. So I saw it for the first time about a week or two ago, and I just got off a rough 10-hour work day, and I went to this film curious and with that, movie excitement, but I was tired, I was exhausted, and I think it definitely showed, because as I was watching the movie, I was drifting in and out of it. I wasn't really into the story that this movie was providing. I absolutely hated the cringe-worthy dialogue that the movie provided. It did not have any rhythm. It did not have any rhythm to it. The wording, the structure of the dialogue, the delivery. It just nothing really ticked any of the boxes for me. But then there was about a quarter to maybe even half of this movie that honestly, I don't usually do this in movies, but I was asleep for. I was so fucking bored during like the first half of this movie. And I don't even think I was bored during the movie. I think I was just tired from work. And I didn't want to go home that night and film a reaction when really what I got was just a quarter, or I'll even go as far to say half an experience. I didn't get to experience the movie that the filmmakers wanted me to. I didn't give the movie a chance. I didn't really get to see it from beginning till end. And so, I felt like I'd be ripping you guys off if I just gave you a half-ass, like, oh, fucking, like, Imaginary, is one of the dumbest, horror movies of the year, la-da-la-da. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so I wanted to give it a second chance tonight. I got myself, really jacked up for this movie. I had an energy drink beforehand. I was really psyched and excited, to go into this movie. I went into it this time knowing what the twist ending is, knowing where the movie eventually ended off on. And so, I think knowing that information, I think really made me appreciate the movie this time around. And I think there's a lot of details and a lot of direction that I think will really be admired watching it a second time through. And I am going to get into that, but before I do, this is going to be a spoiler-free discussion. I know that the movie's been out for a few weeks now, but I want to be respectful to my audience. So if you haven't seen Imaginary, you are safe with this review. I'm not going to spoil a thing, but I would highly, highly recommend go out and see Imaginary. Make your own judgment on it. Make your own opinion. I would say, definitely watch the movie, 2 to 3 times. I think. Okay. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Lights back on. Yeah, I'd say, make your own opinion for this movie. I think with any movie with a twist ending, I think it already earns that rewatch value, because then, there's a lot of stuff that you didn't pick up on the first time around that you will pick up on the second time. And I think that's just what makes a great twist to me, is if all those hints, are there. So, yeah. Anyways, let's jump right in to Imaginary, So jumping right off with the positives, which I've already hinted at this before, is the direction. The direction from Jeff Wedlow in this movie is absolutely perfect. The way he structures these sequences together, I don't want to give anything major away, but the way he directs his actors in here, and I'm going to give credit to them in just a second, is absolutely perfect, because a lot of the focus of this movie, I'd say, is holding itself on the actor's shoulders. And in certain scenes, if you look at where the actors are looking, so I'm going to give you an example here. So there's a scene with the daughter Alice and Chauncey. They're having a conversation, and if you look at the oldest sister's body language and eye contact, there's a hint there. There's a hint there, and just the way he so subtly hints to what the bigger picture is, like I think it is so incredible to have those little hints throughout the movie, because I think, to me at least, that's what makes a great twist ending, is if all of the hints are scattered throughout the movie. And I think it makes a more powerful impact on the viewer and the audience watching the movie. And I think just it makes a well executed twist as a whole. And I think this movie did a great job, not only with the direction, but also delivering and executing a great twist ending here. And one thing I mentioned earlier was the acting in this movie. Everybody, there's some challenging sequences in here, especially from the main lead, Alice, who, horror movies are a big victim of this, where you have a younger child actor. It's always a mixed bag. Like, you never know, you never know what you're going to get. You could get a great child actor, or you could get a really bad child actor. And I think in the case of this, the actress, the young child who played Alice in this movie, she is phenomenal in this movie. Like, she gives a very emotional performance in this movie. And there's one scene in particular that I do want to quickly bring up. There's a scene with a psychiatrist and Alice, and and Alice and Chauncey, they're having a conversation, and and you see Alice's attachment to this bear, and I don't know how hard it is to cry, but I know for any actor that's always going to be a challenge. And I think just what this role required of her, and just her acting skills throughout the movie, I think she really proves herself as being a very talented young actress. And I would love to see more of her if they decide to make more imaginary movies, because I think she was one of the best parts of this movie. And I also do want to give credit to the mother in this movie, because I think she also delivers an excellent performance in this movie. And I think, there's a lot of great scenes with her, especially the third act of this movie is, I think, where she really shines, because the third act is really focused on her and her background and her childhood and what she had to go through. And the older daughter in this movie, I thought she was fine. I didn't think she really had a lot to do in the movie. I thought she was mainly left in the background. But even saying that, I thought she had her time to shine on screen as well. And then we have this older woman, which I don't want to get too much into her character, but her character, I thought, provided some really good world building to the film. But then I think her character, looking at the bigger picture of the film, her character really is not necessary. She doesn't really have a whole lot to do in the first two acts. And then the third act, she's there, but she doesn't really do anything, really. I mean, the movie, it had a chance to make her character this I cannot say this without spoiling it. To see this other side of her character that we haven't seen before, and I would have been interested to to flesh that out a bit more. Another thing I really liked in this movie is the monster and the creature designs. I thought the way that this movie subtly hints at the creatures. For most of this movie, you don't get to see the monster or the creatures. They're all background imagery and they're blurred out. And I think this movie really effectively inserted the monsters when they needed to. And I think they did it in the best possible way, with mainly sound design and really effective, backdrop figures to the movie. And so I really liked how those moments, they were spread out, they were paced really well throughout the movie. So I have to give props for that. And the designs, once they showcase them towards the end of the movie, I really, really loved what they did here, on a practical level. So, I have to give props to that. And another thing as well is just this world. Like, the world of Imaginary is a world I would love to revisit. This is a world I would love to see a Imaginary 2. I would love to see a Imaginary 3. I would love to see the future of this franchise go ahead, because I think there's a lot of story to tell here. And I think as far as the Never Again land, it's such a visually appealing. It reminds me a lot of strangely a lot of Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. There's an image in that book where there's all these stairs and this very weird dimension. And just it reminded me a lot of that. It reminded me a lot of the childhood books that I grew up reading, and just the world building, leading up to the eventual reveal, I thought was really, really good. Just the color scheme, uh, I don't want to I don't want to give too much away here. I think that's the challenging part. The way that they showcased this world, like there's a lot. Like I could have gone for another 10 hours, watching that third act. I would have loved to as soon as I finished this movie, I wanted to dive straight back into it. I want to see more of what the Never Again Land, has to offer. Because I think that's where a lot of the best scenes of this movie come into play. Um, what else is there? All of the scares in this movie, while they aren't for me, like, I mean, I've seen like every scare under the sun now. Like, it takes a lot to scare me. This is a film that I can definitely see. I can definitely see some younger kids being scared by, and I think this is a very relatable concept. Like the concept of a kid's imagination. I think that's in everyone. Like, as soon as we turn adult and we have to start, paying taxes, we have to get a full-time job, we have, numerous responsibilities. We instantly, reflect on that kid self of having like no rules, of living just like a free life, like where we can do whatever we want. And I think that theme, is definitely explored here, where the more you age, the more you want to go back to that. You want to go back to that world of imagination, and you want to just you want to have just that one chance, just to act and be like a kid again. Because when you become an adult, like, you can't do that. And, I think that's something, while that's a very subtle theme in this movie, I think that's a very important theme, you know, for everyone. And so I think in this movie, there's something for everyone in here. And I think, going to a world and a land where you can have whatever you want, you can see whoever you want. Like, I think, that's something, that we can, that's something that we can all relate to. Like, we've all had people in our lives that have, that have passed away, that we didn't get to say goodbye to. We all have those life regrets. And I think that this is a movie that, that really plays on that. And I think, going to a world where, where you can actually, say, goodbye to them, whether or not they are them or not. Like, it's just, it's that chance to make things right. And I think, that's something that I really liked about this movie. Is we all have dreams, we all have hopes for, for where we want to go in the future. Like, maybe you want to, travel, like maybe you want to become a billionaire. Like, we all have different dreams and desires. And I think, that's something that this movie touches on, really well, is whether or not you are a child or an adult, like, there's always going to be that kid side of you. There's always going to be that, there's always going to be that side that wants to, that just wants to play in that, in that sand pit again, and just and just, immerse yourself, in your own stories. Like, you may have had, like, action figures growing up, that, that you had that connection to. And I think we've all had that, that childhood, toy, or that childhood person that, that we connected to, that, that helped us through tough times, as a kid. And so I think I think they're all very important themes that this film, really dives into. And I think, to me, that's what made the imaginary world just so that, like, so much more rare, is that, this is a world that, that, as an adult, we can be a kid again. We can be a kid again. Just go see, imaginary. And I think, for everyone, and I think, we will all see, that little kid of us. There's going to be that one thing in this movie that we reflect back on our lives, and, we're like, that was us. Like, that was me. And so, I think, that's something that this movie just, knocks out of the fucking park. And just, like, the world is, like, it's so bizarre and weird, and just, like, the structure of the Never Again land, it's just, this is a film, I think, that, like, it allows you to, to go crazy. And I think, to kind of, be in a world where, where anything and everything, can come to life. You can have, whatever you want, whether that has consequences or not, is, is, I think, that's, that's all something that we can, we can relate to here. So I think, that third act, it reminded me just so much of, like, a Tim Burton movie. It reminded me of, like, a Dr. Seuss book, growing up. So, yes, that, so that I really liked. Oh geez, what else? There's definitely some scenes in this that I think did go too far, and I think, logic wise, I think, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. There's a scene that deals with Molly, and this boyfriend, type character walks into the house, and, like, first thing he does is, like, hold out his tongue, and it's like, there's a tablet sitting on there, and I'm just thinking, how long did he fucking have that on there for? Like, how long have you been holding that, just to show that to the camera? Like, I think, that's a needless scene there. But, like, I think, those scenes, I think that, like, they're so small that it's not something that really that so much bothers me, when I watch it. But yeah, like, overall, this is a great fucking movie. Like, I know this movie, has been, slammed and, burnt to the ground by critics and audiences. I don't think it deserves the hate, that it gets. Like, I can definitely see where people are coming from, but, yeah, to me, fuck. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna do the review with, with the light off. Like, yeah, that's the second time that's happened now. Oh geez, where was I with this? Like, yeah, I think, yeah, like, Imaginary. This is a film that, I probably saw something, different in here compared to what a lot of other people will see. And I think that this is a really fun movie. I think it plays on a lot of childhood fears and themes of never giving up that childhood life, and that's something that you're always going to hold on to, whether you had a bad or good upbringing and childhood. I think that's all really important messages and themes that this movie dives into that that I really appreciated personally, and just this is a world that I want to see fucking more, like greenlit and Imaginary 2, greenlit and Imaginary 3, like. I want to see more of this universe. I want to see Jeff Wedlow return, because I think this guy, this is the first, real horror movie that he's done that I've really liked. Truth or Dare, I was not the biggest fan of. While I can look at the movie as a guilty pleasure, it's not a good movie. Fantasy Island is actually a movie I genuinely enjoy. But I wouldn't really call that like, a favourite of mine of his, but it's definitely a movie that I enjoyed, and, like, same with this movie. It's a movie that critics and audiences did not like. I liked it. Imaginary is a movie that, critics and audiences did not like. I like it. So, it seems like, this guy's filmography is a real mixed bag, for audiences, so... I would love to see this guy come back and just play in the world of the world of imagination. So, and I think there's a lot of this world to discover, and I think there's a lot of and I think Chauncey. Fuck! I've talked so much about this movie, and I forgot one of the biggest things of this movie. Chauncey. Fuck. We're all going there for the evil fucking bear. Like Chauncey, like, just, like, I would love to know how he works. I want to know, like, how all of these, just how all of these stuffed bears, how all of these, like, these toys kind of, get inside, like, the child's head. And one concept that I would love for a sequel to develop on more is the whole Chauncey talking through Alice. I would love for that to for that to be explained, because I think that's such an interesting concept that it almost kind of comes across as like Alice. Alice is the real life version like of Chauncey. And I think that's an interesting conversation to have, for where to go with the sequel. So I have a lot of sequel ideas. I want to spend another 10 years in this world. I hope BLUMHOUSE greenlits another one, because I'm going to be back in the seat day one of it coming out. And I was shocked to walk out of this movie. I went in wide open. I went in being like, this maybe isn't going to be the greatest movie on earth, but it might be fun. It might be fun, to say the least. So, but I came out of this movie fucking shocked. This movie isn't going to be winning any awards. It's not going to be one of my favorite movies of the year. We still have a lot of the year to go. So it's kind of hard to make that judgment at the moment, but this is one of the funnest theatre going experiences I have had in recent memory. So I had a great time tonight. So I'm so happy that that my brain has kind of finally witnessed the story of Imaginary. So anyways, that's my review of Imaginary. I'm going to probably get a lot of hate for this review, but let me know down in the comments what you think of Imaginary. And until next time, guys, I will see you all in the next video.